When it comes to alpine farming, it'd be fair to say that most people immediately think of cattle in the high country. But the Australian Alps lend themselves to other forms of agriculture that like cooler weather, which is exactly what you find at Batlow on the western side of the Snowies in New South Wales. I decided to pay a visit to an old schoolmate, Ian Cathels, and his family, and find out if she's all apples at Batlow. Ian, how are you?
Hi Richard, how are you going?
Good.
I'd like to introduce you to my wife Carol.
Hi Richard,
Carol.
hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We went to school together, can you believe that?
Yeah, highly educated children, aren't we?
Speak for yourself. The need to visit Ian was increased by a long-time feeling of guilt over $2 he lent me to go on a ride at the Royal Easter Show, and I never paid him back. The Cathels grow their fruit at Batlow and Tumut. I was interested to know how Ian became a grower and whether it offered more hope and prosperity than most other forms of Australian farming today.
It came about by really my father's influence, in that he has worked in the Sydney markets all his life. He is an agent for growers, and he diversified his business into being a grower and packer as well. And I was probably influenced by a trip my parents took me to Europe when I'm probably second last year of school, that I realised this orcharding business can be quite interesting. Some days you might wake up and think, why did I make that decision? But in general though, it's not a bad career to be in. It's in a lovely area to live in, and there's some good people that you work with, and it is rewarding to be able to produce something at the end of the year.
Well, it was time for a tour, so we went to look at one of Ian's orchards where some tree thinning was taking place, and I met the manager of this particular site, Steve Nolden. What are the guys up to?
Oh, well, we're just taking off all the damaged and spoiled fruit, and trying to, we space them so that they get a bit of size in the fruit. Yeah.
So what's caused the damage to spoil some of the fruit?
Oh, the recent hail we just had, and also some of the frosts we've had, which was a couple of days ago as well. So yeah.
But don't apples like a bit of cold weather?
They do, but not frozen.
Yeah.
Cold chill's fine, but not 0 and below. Okay. It doesn't do them any good at all. What we try to do is get a good upright tree. We're trying to have nice light limbs to grow our fruit. We used to years ago grow a heavier limb, but because the market demands good quality fruit, we can't afford to have these big limbs in there because of the shading factor, and it takes a lot out of the tree. So what we do is we remove these bigger limbs and we just keep nice light limbs, and it allows for good light penetration. We're always having new timber coming on, so we've got new good fruit growing on 2-year-old timber, hence good quality.
Taking the fruit off, quite a lot of stuff gets discarded, doesn't it? A lot of apples get,
Yeah, it's probably about, I don't know exactly my figures, but I think it's about 70% we take off.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a fair bit. Yeah, it's a fair whack of fruit.
This is Woodburn Orchard, and this is where our packing shed is, and which we'll go over, and I'll introduce you to Glenda Rowe, who's our packhouse sort of manager here.
At peak harvest time, Ian can have 100 or more staff on the books, though at other times of the year the workforce number's about 50. The packing shed and cool room storage is an incredibly sophisticated and high-tech operation. I naively pictured the apples being picked and popped into bins which went straight to the market. No way. For example, every single apple is photographed by a computer which helps decide where in the marketplace it will end up.
We're actually packing Pink Ladies at the moment, and we're doing like a normal pack into a cardboard carton, and any fruit that is really good colour we're putting into a single layer tray. Anything that's sort of got a mark on it, it goes up into second grade, up into here, and anything that's actually got broken skin or is rotten goes down to the juice belt.
Look, by the end of the day, you're sort of, to give you an idea, you might be sending a truck and a half of fruit, packed fruit, out to Sydney markets. this is back in the wood-burn cool rooms now, and this is just a typical sort of what we call a CA room, controlled atmosphere, in which we will store fruit in here. When at harvest time, we load the rooms fully up, so this particular room here might hold about 400 bins, and then we seal the door so to make it airtight, and then we take the oxygen out of the room and pump it full of nitrogen, and so the air we breathe at the moment is like 21% oxygen, and what we are doing, we're taking it down to around 2 to 3% oxygen, and we're trying to just keep really the apple from respirating and ripening, and we're really just putting it to sleep, and so then when we pull it out, we've still got a nice crisp, and fresh tasting apple, and this allows us to then market the fruit over a sort of 10-11 month period. This is nothing new. It's probably been going on for 40 odd years, and it's just, I think the consumer has had this sort of belief that we're just picking the apple off all year round, when really apple harvest is only from about, for us, end of February to about mid-May.
After the apple-laden trucks have left for the markets, Ian enjoys nothing more than spending time with Carol and the family. And who wouldn't in a beautiful place like Batlow?
Oh, welcome.
Oh, cheers. Thank you very much.
You just try and work with the environment, and that is farming. And whether, your rainfall drops or your temperatures rise or whatever, you have to adjust to those changes. We ourselves have probably decreased our orchard size by a good 20 to 30%. And that's due to older varieties that we're changing over, and throughout this time will have been drier periods, so we just haven't gone and planted that area out because we just won't be able to service it.
Well, Ian, it's been good to see you after 20 odd years, and I hope she'll be apples.
Well, you're going to give me that $2 you owe me from the Royal Easter Show back in, what year was that?
I think it was 1980.
Yeah, well, interest, mate.